Hi, we're back on the reviewing stand. We haven't done this since we opened our doors back last June, and now it's what, October? Because you've been in here and you've been coming in, and we've been talking and telling you about books. But maybe you've missed some of these, and I wanted to get back to talking to you this way. So, I have four hardcover, four nonfiction and three fiction books. The nonfiction is my favorite new one is What About the Baby? Alice McDermott's book called Some Thought. The subtitle is Some Thoughts on the Art of Fiction. Alice McDermott, one of our favorite fiction writers, tells us stories about what she likes in fiction and what makes fiction. She's worth listening to. She's worth reading. What About the Baby? You'll find out about the baby. Hey, here's The Fox and I, An Uncommon Friendship. Shepard really found this one this summer, I guess. It came out late in the summer. And it's published by Spiegel and Grau, an imprint that Random House dropped a couple of years ago, but we're glad that Spiegel and Grau have come back, and they are now distributed by our friends at Two Rivers. Fox and I is a story of Catherine Raven's uncommon friendship. She's living out in, I think, Montana, and she goes outside, and there's a fox that comes to her yard, her 5,000 acre front yard out in the mountains, and curls up. And every day at 4:15, this fox does this every day for like 2 weeks. And finally, Catherine comes out and starts reading to the fox, reading The Little Prince. I'll have you come in and look at the rest of it when you come and see it. The Fox and I. It's a lovely, lovely book about our connectedness to the natural world. Speaking of the natural world, here is Anita Hill, who's gone through the crucible since the early '90s in Clarence Thomas travesty. So this is a book, Believing, Our 30-Year Journey to End Gender Violence. I haven't read the whole thing. I've read a little bit of it. You might want to pick this up and see what Anita Hill has to say about the last 30 years of our society, the not natural society. Speaking of not natural society, and speaking of all those people on the Supreme Court, here is Peter Canellis. Our friend Peter Canellis wrote this book, The Great Dissenter, the story of John Marshall Harlan, America's judicial hero. John Marshall Harlan was the great dissenter in the late 19th century when the Supreme Court, what's the word? All the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments passed after the Civil War to guarantee civil liberties. The Supreme Court in the late 19th century just took them apart. And Harlan was the great dissenter. Of course, the most famous case was Plessy Ferguson. And it's worth reading about this guy, the great dissenter, before we had our own Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the great dissenter. And to know that dissent happens, that dissent is important, and this book, as a history book, will give us hope for the future. Whew. Nonfiction. You like that kind of stuff? I prefer fiction myself. And Josh Ritter has a new book. Who likes Josh Ritter? This is a great little fable. The Great Glorious Goddamn of It All. Also set in either Montana or Idaho, a logging family. And Josh Ritter, the singer, you know his voice, has come up with a great, how do I say this, just natural tones to his voice, and a natural story, and a fun story. Speaking of fun stories, this is not a fun story. Bewilderment by Richard Powers, the author of the Pulitzer Prize winning author of Overstory, has come up with a book about endangered species. This is a devastating book. This is so well written, and the narrative is so well created. This father and son living alone in the world, being surrounded by the world, but the two of them facing the difficulties that they do, and facing the extinction of so much in our world. Bewilderment. This is not a book for the lighthearted. This is a great book, though. Bewilderment. I finished reading it. You know, there was another book that I read a couple of years ago. I remember I used to say my bookmark never had a chance. Well, because I keep reading it. This book I had to put down every couple of pages to digest it, and then go back to it. But it took me a lot longer, and because I had to stretch it out, because it was really a difficult book to read. But again, as I say, so well worth it. And here's the other big book of the season, Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. I haven't gotten to this. Everybody else is reviewing it and talking about it. And he's all over the Sunday papers and news shows and TV shows and all. So, but just to say we have it in the Cloud Cuckoo Land is here. We're also getting the Franzen book. I forget what it's called. Oh, but it's coming in tomorrow, the next day. The new Jonathan Franzen. A lot of new fiction coming. A lot of new nonfiction coming. Nice to see you again. See you again next time.